The education regulation was laid down by PCI. The president of PCI is elected by its members. Central Register for Pharmacists is compiled by Pharmacy Council of India. The Central Drug Laboratory is situated at Mumbai. The Central Drug Research Laboratory is situated at Lucknow. Which one of these is prohibited to be imported? That is misbranded drugs. Schedule P is related to life periods of drugs. The form specified to obtain a retail license to sell the Schedule C and C1 drugs is 20. Example of Schedule C drug is none of the above. Drugs which are used only under the supervision of registered medical practitioner are dealt in Schedules G. Barbiturates belongs to Schedule X drugs. The license for the manufacturing of drugs are issued by state drug controller. The premises licensed for the manufacture of drugs must fulfill the following condition according to Schedule M. Ibuprofen tablet belongs to Schedule H. The chairman of Drug Technical Advisory Board is Director of General Health Services. The repacking license is not issued for Schedule C drugs. Premises license for sale of drugs are inspected at least every month. Drug inspector is appointed under the Act of 21 of Indian Penal Code. Biologicals are tested at Kasauli. The records for the drugs having date of expiry should be preserved for at least 2 years. Antiseras are tested at Izzatnagar. Import of drugs for personal use contain average doses up to 100. Patent and proprietary medicines can be imported to some extent in unit containers. List of Ayurvedic poisons is related to Schedule E1. License for chemist shop is issued by State Drug Authority. Tests on oral polio vaccines are to be carried out at National Institute of Communicable Diseases. Magic remedies include mantra, talismans, and kavach. The Magic Remedies Act was passed in the year 1954. Cure for cancer is an example of the following advertisement. That is, this advertisement is prohibited. The Drugs and Magic Remedies Act come into force in the year 1955. Advertisement of drug claiming to cure a disease mentioned in Schedule J disease is prohibited. Advertisement of prescription drugs are meant for the physician. The drug bill was introduced in the year 1931. The Poison Act was passed in the year 1919. Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act was passed in the year 1971. The fourth edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia was published in the year 1996. So, which is the latest edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia that you tell me? The Insecticide Act was passed in the year 1968. The ER is published in Official Gazette by central government. Registration Tribunal for first register consists of 3 persons. If a drug contains a color which is not prescribed, it is called as misbranded. Standards for patent are laid down in Schedule B. Opium does not include preparation if it contains not less than 0.2% of morphine. Opium straw include all parts except seed. The word alcohol includes ethyl alcohol only. The Pharmacy Council of India is constituted by central government. The Medical and Toilet Preparations Act came into force in the year 1955. Opium shall be manufactured only by the central government opium factories. Under Drug Price Control Order, an application to revise the selling price for a scheduled formulation shall be submitted by the manufacturer in Form 3. Under Schedule Y to the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945, responsibility of a sponsor includes submission of status reports on the clinical trial to the licensing authority. As per DPCO, every manufacturer shall submit yearly information on turnover and allocation of sales and expenses in Form 6. A non-bonded manufactory shall be inspected by the other officer at least once every month. Contravention of any provisions to the drug price control order shall be punishable with the provision of Essential Commodities Act 1955. Who has the power to fix selling price of scheduled formulations? That is central government. Which of the following drugs is a scheduled bulk drug? That is salbutamol. Application for permission to import or manufacture new drug and to undertake clinical trial should be made in Form 44. As per the Poisons Act, in India, any poison can be imported only under a valid license. The drugs order currently in force was passed in the year 1995. The name of a registered pharmacist can be removed from the register if he was convicted by any offense or his name was entered due to misrepresentation of a material fact or his name was entered by error in the register. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act was passed in the year 1985. Coca, hemp, and opium are defined under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. Plant of the species of papaver from which opium or any phenanthrene alkaloid can be extracted, it is called as opium poppy. Cannabis means all of the above, that is, cannabis means charas, hemp, ganja, anything. Who among the following has the responsibility to establish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals? That is, state government. The number of persons elected for the Pharmacy Council of India from teaching profession is 6. The Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Act was enacted in the year 1960. Joint State Pharmacy Council are constituted for the period specified under the interstate agreements. Examples of Schedule C drug is insulin. Drug inspector shall be deemed to be public servant under Section 21 of IPC. The Drugs Consultative Committee shall be inspected by the central government. Application for the issue of a permit to import small quantities of drugs for personal use shall be made in Form 12A. The person is in charge of state laboratory is government analyst. Premises licensed for sale of drugs having services of a registered pharmacist, but where drugs are not compounded against prescription is called as chemist and druggist. Which of the following drugs are prohibited to be imported? That is spurious drugs. Schedule S to the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945 contains the list of standards for cosmetics. Schedule F to the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945 contains the list of standard for ophthalmic preparations. Chlorphropamide and dexamphetamine drug belongs to Schedule G and Schedule X drugs respectively. Study conditions for long-term stability testing of new drugs is 30 °C plus minus 2 degrees Celsius and 65% relative humidity plus minus 5%. A person who falsely claims himself as a registered pharmacist shall be punishable with fine of 500 rupees on first conviction and imprisonment of 6 months on any subsequent conviction. A competent technical staff for the manufacture of drug must be a graduate in pharmacy with at least 18 months practical experience in the manufacturing of drugs. An original license to sell drugs, unless sooner suspended or cancelled, shall be valid for 5 years. Minimum area of shop to obtain a wholesale license to sell and stock drugs shall be 10 square meters. An application for grant of license to sell drugs other than those specified in Schedule X shall be made in Form 18. Which of the following is not a psychotropic substance under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act? That is albendazole. Establishment licensed for sale of drugs shall be inspected at least not less than once in a year. If any person willfully obstructs a drug inspector in the exercise of his power, then this is cognizable and non-bailable offence. Specific requirements for the manufacture of sterile products and parenteral preparations are prescribed in which of the following parts of Schedule M? That is Part 1A. The latest amendment in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act was made in the year 2008. So, anything after this, tell me in the comment box. The applicable fees for taking license to manufacture drugs other than those specified in Schedule C, C1 and X are license fee of rupees 6,000 and inspection fee of rupees 1,000 rupees. Standards of quality for drugs are prescribed in the second schedule